I wanted to say thank you so much for being here. We're very excited to host Steve Kinard, running for House District 70. Let's go, Steve. We're going to be having a block walk for Steve later in October, but he's here to tell us kind of how the race is coming so far, what he stands for, what he's about. So please, without any further ado, please welcome Steve Kinard to the stage.
Thanks, guys. See if we can. All right, that'll be good enough there. Hey, I appreciate y'all being out here tonight, and this is particularly special for me because I am a young Republican. As I've told some of you, I'm 38 years old, so I'm barely skating through there. But when we win, we will at least have one legislative session where I'll be a young Republican. I think there's only two others maybe that are in the House, and we need more younger people stepping up, and that's kind of part of my story tonight. I'd like to start by giving you a little bit of background, kind of how I ended up here, who I am, a little bit about the district itself so you can appreciate why I think this is important. It's an exciting race to be a part of, and then I want to contrast the stark contrast with my opponent, and I think a real opportunity to flip this district because we have somebody representing the people of Collin County that is a far left extremist and is completely out of touch with the values of the people of Collin County. So a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Dallas, the actual city, which I feel increasingly like we're going extinct. But this was my home, born and raised. My parents still live in Dallas. My brother lives in Dallas. And so this has always been home. I went to A&M undergrad. After that, I moved to my mother's native country, Panama. So my mom was a legal immigrant from Panama. She got a scholarship to study at UTD, met my dad, the rest is history. And so I always grew up with kind of that background of being a sixth generation Texan, proud to be a Texan, but also traveling internationally a lot and speaking Spanish. And so I went to Panama for a while. And as much as I love that, it taught me that I'm an American and I wanted to come back to the United States. And so I did that. I went to business school in Washington, D.C., and that taught me that I'm a Texan. And so I wanted to get out of there. I don't have any interest in ever moving back to D.C. And so at that time, oil was $100 and something a barrel for the glory days. And so I moved to Houston. I was part of a team, and we started an oil and gas company from nothing and built it to over $140 million invested in the American oil field. And so I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. My dad was an entrepreneur. His dad was an entrepreneur. I think it just is in the bloodstream. And I say that because it's the same kind of spirit you have to step up and kind of put yourself out there to get into politics. I am not a politician at all. When I started in this, I had no money, no campaign manager, no real experience, but I just had a conservative desire to stand up and stand firm in the truth and really speak up for the next generation and say it's time for reform and revival in our culture. So what I want to tell all of you is there's not a time when you're like prepared or everything's lined up for you to get more involved in politics, whether it be volunteering more or running for office. You just have to have that conviction, pray about it, and get out there and do it. If we're sitting around waiting, that's a losing mentality. So if you're interested in getting more involved, whatever that looks like, become a precinct chair, run for city council, run for state house, I want to help you. We need more younger people stepping up into leadership in the Republican Party. And that's really what was driving me. I kind of joked with my wife. I said, I don't know if there's any way we can win this primary with no money, no structure behind us. But what's unique about the primary and really the moment that we find ourselves in, I think, in the Republican Party, is there is a desire to disrupt the status quo. And I may not have all the money and all these other things, but I will disrupt the status quo because I'm not a politician. I'm not beholden to any of these vested interests. And if you speak with that authenticity and meet people face to face, one by one, that's how we won. And more volunteers came in, which is such a blessing. It's humbling to have so many people give of their time and their treasure to make a difference to this campaign. And each person that steps up and does that, it's like a little more wind in my sails. Like, you want to win for those people that are willing to get out there for you. And so we won the primary decisively by almost 40 points. All of the other primaries around here were like multi-million-dollar primaries. We spent like 25 grand. So it's a story of that entrepreneurial bootstrapping spirit, and that is still possible. And I think that's the kind of energy that people are looking for right now in the Republican Party, is a return to be a grassroots movement, a movement that's about the people, responsive to the people, where you're willing to get out there, meet people face to face, and not be kind of of the machine and for the machine. So coming out of that into this general election, I want to give you a little background about this district itself. House District 70 used to be primarily a McKinney-based district further to the north here. And 2 years ago in that redrawing, it became a southwestern Collin County district, all Collin County, but none of this new district touches the olds. If you go on Google and look at like old data, completely irrelevant in terms of House District 70. And what's important to note is that 2 years ago, for the first time ever, a Democrat won in Collin County, a state rep seat, or really any Texas legislature seat. It's been over 25 years since that happened. It was the smallest margin of victory of any race. There's 192,000 people about in House District 70. The margin of victory for this Democrat, Mihaela Plisa, is just over 850 votes. I mean, incredibly close, less than 1% margin of victory. And so keep that in mind when you think about how we approach this. You can have all the money in the world, but we can get out and meet a couple thousand people ourselves. That doesn't take all of the money and the TV ads and that kind of stuff. And so we've been building that grassroots movement. Now, this is one of the closest races. It's one of the more high-profile races. We've been on NBC. We're going to have an interview coming out with CBS next week, I think. And so this is getting some of the kind of mainstream media attention. I'm really honored and blessed to have gotten the endorsement from Governor Greg Abbott. There's a rallying of the Republican movement around this race. So I don't mean to kind of play this card of, woe is us and we don't have any resources. That's not true. But we're staying true to who we are, which is being a grassroots movement. And that's what's going to pull us through. And what I want to talk about now is I want to encourage y'all, and I want to really tell you what I firmly believe, which is in the world of Texas politics, you would be hard-pressed to find a race where your time and your effort has the potential to have a greater impact. This area, kind of the outer suburbs of all of our major cities, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, that's the tip of the spear in this battle between conservative pro-America values and this anti-family, leftist, extremist values that are completely out of touch with really what's made this country great. And so these couple of races, and I'll tell you, there's 150 House seats. You can count probably on one hand the number of races that are this close, that are this competitive. And so for me, honestly, it's a blessing to live in this district, to live near it, to be able to be a part of this process. Because we're setting the tone, not just for Texas, but really the nation, because what happens here is so important as the largest Republican-led state, and we want to keep it that way. Let me tell you my experience so far in this election, why I'm so encouraged, why I believe and know we can win. I've knocked a lot of doors, I've talked to a lot of people. And I want to draw two clear, very important contrasts between our movement, between what I stand for, and what the current representative, Mihaela Plisa, has been doing. Look, there's all kinds of issues that we can get in. We need to talk about tax rates and have tax relief. We need to look at our infrastructure. But there are some fundamental truths about who we are as a people that we need to return to and look our neighbors in the eye and say, what are we doing? We have to reclaim common sense. First, the Texas Department of Public Safety has confirmed that the Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, has a presence in Texas. Arrests have been made. There are confirmed reports of activity and ongoing investigations right here in North Texas. This isn't an abstract thing. It's happening right now. And in fact, just a few weeks ago, there were attempted child abductions just a few miles from here. That's happening right now. My opponent voted against House Bill 7, which was the bill to invest in border security. That's on the record, can't escape that. She voted against House Bill 800, which was a bill to increase penalties on human trafficking. That's indefensible. That's nonsense. Right now, the people of Collin County don't have a representative in House District 70, but the Venezuelan gangs do. Yeah. We cannot tolerate this. These are the same streets that my children play on. And if we go door to door and tell people this is insanity and we have to prioritize security and that shouldn't be partisan, I know that we can win. Another important issue my opponent likes to focus on, and you may have seen her road signs that say Mihaela trusts women. Yet, she voted for men and women's sports. She voted against banning these horrific experimental transgender surgeries, which is really just child mutilation. I can tell you from speaking to a lot of people, I haven't found a single person, not one, who says, yeah, men and women's sports, not a big issue. Sometimes maybe that's okay.
That is utter and complete nonsense. It's evil. It's a lie. How can you claim to trust women when you can't even define what a woman is? We have to go door to door and tell people, this is what's going on in our community right now. And if we don't stand up and make a change, it's going to take root. It's going to be harder and harder to reclaim this country when we allow these kind of lies to be spoken in the open. And I can tell you, but for me, what's driving me is, you can see I've got a young family. I've got a daughter. And I am not going to let her grow up in a world where we have to hide and equivocate on the reality that men and women are different. This isn't a political matter. This is a common sense morality issue. And I'm telling you, the people of Collin County don't want this. They do not want it. And so we can go door to door. We can have meetups like this. We can talk to people, and no amount of money is going to snuff out this basic truth that we are a moral, decent, God-fearing people in this country. And we're not going to go quietly into the darkness.
That's right.
Thank you. I want to do a little bit of Aggie math that hopefully will be inspiring for you. So we're planning to put on we're going to collaborate on doing a block walk on October 19th. And it's the most impactful way that we can reach out and make a difference in an election, is you got to go door to door. That's how we win. And so I mentioned 2 years ago, the margin of victory was 850 votes. So imagine if we can just get 50 people out on October 19th. If we can commit for 3 hours, and you can knock 20 doors an hour, and that's 3 minutes a door. I think you might be able to do better than that. But let's just be conservative. 20 doors an hour. That's 3,000 doors. Now, I know everybody doesn't open. That's 3,000 doors in a day in an election that was decided by less than 1,000 votes 2 years ago. Where else are we going to have a bigger impact? 2 days before early voting starts than right here in House District 70. This is a huge opportunity. And I want to leave you with 3 things I want to ask each of you to do in this movement of young Republicans. First, invite a friend. Let's each find at least one person that we know is conservative, aligned, but they think they're not political, they don't want to make things uncomfortable, whatever it may be, and look them in the eye and say, come out. We're at a point where there are terrorists in our community, and we can't call a man and a woman a woman. I mean, we're beyond the point of let's not make it uncomfortable. We need to engage here. So number 1, invite a friend. Number 2, I'm asking you to commit for those 3 hours. If you come out for the whole day or numerous days, I love you, God bless you, and I have incredible volunteers doing that. But I'm asking for 3 hours. And the last piece, and I think this might be the most important, let's have fun. Let's make it fun. So October 19th is going to be the biggest college football game of the year, and it's hard for me to say that as a proud Aggie, but it's the Texas and Georgia game. I think the likelihood is they'll both still be undefeated. They'll be number 1, number 2. We can have a fun time. We're going to meet at a really cool sports bar in North Dallas, right on the tollway, easy to get to. Pool tables, big bar. It's going to be a ton of fun. Invite that one friend. Let's commit for 3 hours. We'll knock a couple thousand doors. We'll go have a good time together, and we'll win this election. My name is Steve Kinard. Thanks so much for your support, guys, and I look forward to talking to all of you tonight. God bless.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate you for being here. I just wanted to say, I always like to give a big shout out to Love and Warren, Texas. They're very generous to let us use this space. So please hang out for a while if you'd like, or you can hang out inside where it's a little bit cooler if you'd like to do that. But order food, order a drink. We'll be here for a little bit, just socializing and chit-chatting. And then when Tyler, the waiter, walks back in here, we always love to get a group photo. Everybody can be included of any age, so we love to do that just to show that we have a presence and we're really trying to do something here in Collin County. So thank you guys, and thank you, Steve, again.